For more on this, why is this happening? I wanted the big picture view, and the big picture guy is my next guest, Mike Gonzales. He's a senior fellow for national security and foreign policy at the Heritage Foundation. He's got a brand new book coming out, very timely, tomorrow, called Next Gen Marxism, What It Is and How to Combat It. He co-wrote it with the excellent Catherine Gorka. Mike, great to talk to you today, sir.
Vince, thank you. Thanks a lot for having me on. I listen to you on my commute home every day, and you keep me in stitches. It's a joy to be on with you.
Oh my goodness. Well, Mike, it's always good to talk to you. And I'm sincere when I say that I woke up this morning and I thought, how can I talk about this sometime after 3 o'clock in the afternoon in a way that advances it a little bit more? And one way is, I think, to just take the 30,000 foot approach. How is it that the left got us to the point that we now have on our calendars, according to the White House, a Trans Day of Visibility every year? What is this, and what are they marching us towards?
Well, first of all, let's just recognize, although you have done so already with some of your previous guests, that this is a provocation to all Christians, to the almost 4 billion of us in humanity that are Christian. It's incredibly short-sighted for the White House and the campaign to have done this, and a sign of how much they have fallen hostage to a woke mindset that is impossible to satiate, that will never be satiated, and will demand more and more depravity every day. But you're right, because what we see here is bigger than that. It's one more sign that the Biden team is intent on replacing everything we hold holy, our norms, our traditions, with a rival and adversarial set of beliefs. This is the counter-hegemonic narrative in action, Vince. This is why Catherine Cornell Gorka and I wrote this book, to explain why America is more and more becoming an unrecognizable country.
Okay, help me explore that. Did you say the anti-hegemonic concept? Is that what you said? What does that mean?
The anti-hegemonic narrative.
Yes.
So what they hold is that they have to dismantle the American conceptual framework, that they have to dismantle which to them, as you know, is white supremacy, is heteronormativity, is things that need to be replaced, because cultural Marxists set out in the middle of the last century to say, why are workers not rising every day? Why are they not constantly overthrowing the state as Marx called for? And their answer was, well, the workers have bought into the set of beliefs of the rich and powerful, which were created to keep the rich and powerful in place. The workers actually do not want to abolish the family. They do not want to abolish God. They do not want to abolish private property, and they do not want to abolish the nation state. And if you're a Marxist, this is a big problem. So what they do is they say, well, we're going to infiltrate the culture. We're going to indoctrinate people into believing that these are bad things, and that we need to replace them with a counter narrative. And this is the counter narrative. You know, we're taking something beautiful that we celebrate on this day, on Easter Sunday, all of us Christians, which is that Jesus Christ died for our sins so there can be redemption. We all have hope. And we replace this with a day that celebrates the mutilation of the human body. Is there anything more grotesque than replacing the day we celebrate redemption with the day we celebrate the mutilation of the human body? And if this is not more stark, then I don't know what is. So this is why Katie and I set out to explain this. And why do we call it Next Gen Marxism? Because all these things that I have explained to you just now and to your audience about the culture needed to be changed, those were the cultural Marxists that came along in the 20s and 30s of the last century. So to that here in the United States, so these ideas flourished in America in the 60s, and these students began to take over the academy, the faculties, and then to this they added very American pathogens, such as community organizing, that's perfected by Saul Alinsky, such as the use of gender theory and queer theory, which we're discussing right now with Transgender Day of Visibility, such as the use of race for everything, yes, such as Marxist networks that span the globe and social media. That is what makes a cultural Marxist and next-gen Marxist, according to Katie and me.
It's what's interesting. A feature of all of this is the chaos. It's everything is all incoherent. There's no There are no actual limiting principles. There's no rules for how it operates. I mean, I started the show talking about, this Trans Day of Visibility. A decade ago, I was told that the whole concept behind someone saying that a man saying that they're a woman is that, well, they should pass. They should pass as a woman. In other words, go undetected in society. They should be treated as a woman. They should be visibly look like a woman. But now instead, it's now the rule is, no, you're supposed to not only see them, you have to recognize them and worship them and celebrate them. Mike, it's completely incoherent. And that feels like a pretty routine quality of this type of cultural Marxism.
No. It's very coherent. It is Stalinism. That is a totalitarian demand. Not that you tolerate. You and I believe in toleration. We tolerate adults doing this to each other. What we refuse to do is to affirm it, to being compelled to affirm it. And that is a totalitarian step. To say, no, we're not asking for toleration here, folks. We're asking for affirmation. And you must do it or your life is canceled. You're canceled from your job, you're canceled from society, etc. And that is the totalitarian step. That is the totalitarian step. So we explained this all in our book, why it came into being, what is the purpose of it.
Yes.
It's never, David Horowitz was right about this, the issue is never the issue is the revolution. We're seeing more and more demonstrators at Gaza, anti-Israeli marches, saying, no, what we want to do is dismantle the United States. Yes, Gaza is now the goal, is the dismantling the United States. The same thing for queer theory. They want to queer society, which is to change the norms, to dismantle the United States. The same thing with the racial issue. The same thing with climate. We just saw the Deputy Prime Minister of Canada, whom I used to know. She used to be an FT reporter. She just said that. She just said, well, we need to, capitalism and democracy will not allow us to have the policies that we need to have to confront climate change. All of this is about changing the things you and I hold dear, Vince.
Yeah. But what do they think is going to happen? I mean, this is one of those things which like, real Marxism hasn't been tried yet, some version of that. What do they think is going to happen in the end? So the idea is you point out, I mean, the phrase hegemon, it usually refers to the country that leads the world, and that has been, since World War I, that's been the United States of America. And prior to that, you've had any number of countries that occupied that position. Great Britain for a long time. You've had Portugal, Spain. Throughout history, various countries have just dominated the world. And so what do they think is going to happen? So if they destroy American hegemony and our leadership position in the world, is their belief that there will be no leader, that the world is just going to be free-flowing, and that there's going to be no governance at all? What have they convinced themselves of? Because in every element of the natural world, and certainly in the human one, there is always going to be a hierarchy. There is going to be somebody calling the shots, and you would much rather have the United States than almost anybody else. So what do they think happens next?
So two answers. One is they do actually want to replace the American hegemon. They hate the United States. We are the country most devoted to freedom, and are still that way. But what, by hegemonic narrative, they don't mean the American hegemon. They mean the prevailing concepts in society. And what do they want to do? They are still, here's where they haven't changed. They are still Marxist in the sense that what they want to introduce is collectivism, is central planning,
Yes.
is taking away the ability of individuals to make decisions for themselves and their families. They want the end goal will still be gulags and deprivation and economic insanity. Marxists, as you have said, everywhere that has been tried has never produced bread. They've only produced bread lines, because once you take away the price discovery mechanism of the market, everything falls apart. So the end goal is still the same. Now, they will not say that, Vince. What they will say is, and here's a phrase that when your listeners hear it, be triggered, they will say, another word is possible. Another word is possible, and they say this all the time. Another word is possible, meaning we capitalism, the market system doesn't work. Representative democracy is a ruse. It's just money. What we need is people's democracy. We need councils, organized neighborhoods. What they mean is for somebody to come along and become the party, to play the role of the party, whether they call it the Communist Party or not. Yeah. It doesn't matter. They want collectivism, and you can find the word collective used all the time. They want collective rights. So that is really what is at stake here.
Well, that particular line of thinking is intoxicating to young idealistic people, because they become convinced that utopia is possible in a human system.
Yes.
that you can, there's perfection is achievable. And that's not true. That is not true. No human system is perfect. We are flawed, no question about it. But free market capitalism is the closest thing in terms of achieving human flourishing and out of any system that's ever been devised. And all of the other ones that are defined by collectivism lead to tremendous amounts of suffering and death.
Right, and you and I agree on the fact that humans are flawed, that there's no perfection on earth. And where do we get that? We get that from Christianity. And what do they want to abolish? Christianity. So you and I, you put your finger right on it. It's a utopianism. They want a utopia. They think they can achieve perfectibility. They think nature is malleable. You and I read the ancient Greek. We read, Socrates and Aristotle. We read the Bible, and we see that the men and women, Sarah, Abraham, Agamemnon, they're just like you and me. They have the same flaws. The same man has not changed in 5,000 years. They believe they can change man. They believe they can change human nature. Antonio Gramsci, the main philosopher in all this, said that was the best thing about Marx, that Marx had come up with the idea that human nature was changeable. So this is a big, and they also don't believe that objective truth matters. The objective truth actually even exists. They believe that humans cannot be trusted to use their senses to interpret reality. You and I do believe that objective truth exists, and that man is flawed.
And they've launched an all-out assault, actually, on objective truth. They consider it, a part of the enemy faction, because their view is that objective truth is actually just a system for perpetuating oppression. This is the whole concept. I mean, like Orwell himself, wrote this idea that they would try and convince us that 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4. He was just making a very basic assessment of how tyranny operates in these collectivist systems, and I can't even believe I'm alive to see it coming to fruition. It's like the craziest thing, Mike Gonzales.
Well, trust. I want to say to you, and now you have a very sophisticated audience. Trust that what you're seeing is happening right under our noses. When they say no, 2 sexes, it's not 2 sexes. It's fluid. We know as a fact that we've known it for millennia, and we've known it all our lives, that there are 2 sexes. There are people, an infinitesimally small percentage of humanity, that fall in between, but that is an abnormality. The normal is 2 sexes. So, they say no. That's not true. And by the way, they have the goal to call themselves the party of science, where and they want us to live in suspended disbelief.
Yes, and if they can attack your most fundamental understandings, they can attack literally all of your understandings. Lastly, how important are children and to this conversation? Obviously, the left and these Marxists that you talk about, they really want to form the minds of young people. But have you noticed that one of the things they seem to desire very greatly is that you don't have kids at all? And to me, part of that seems like the explanation for that is, I know in my life, and I wonder if you feel the same, having a child definitely put me more in touch with thinking about virtue and how to raise a child and like what's best for her and what kind of environment I need to create for her and my loyalty to her. Is encouraging people not to have children an effort to stop that kind of thinking?
Yes, because they know that having children grounds you. From that moment that first child is born, if you're a normal human being, it's no longer about you. It's about that other third human being that your spouse and you are going to work all your life to give them all the opportunities in life, everything you can, and that they don't want. And they do believe that the child belongs to the state. Alexandra Kollontai, the education minister in the Soviet Union, the first one, believed that. She said that from the beginning. They don't belong to the family; they belong to us. And all Marxists have agreed on this. We need to get them early. We need to indoctrinate them early. Have them snitch on their parents. You see already this happening in America today. And the last thing I want to say is, because people are going to say, well, these people are not Marxists. Actually, a small percentage are, but it's the prevailing idea. So what I say is, somebody who believes in cutting taxes or growing government to help the economy grow is a Keynesian, whether he has ever read John Maynard Keynes or not. The
Sure.
same thing with these Marxists.
Yeah, they're intoxicated by the underlying theories, whether or not they're appending the
Right.
label to themselves.
Yes, that's right.
It's definitely true. Mike Gonzales, I'm so grateful as always for our conversations. Congratulations on the new book alongside Catherine Cornell Gorka. The book is Next Gen Marxism, What It Is and How to Combat It. It comes out tomorrow. Make sure to pick it up right away. Mike Gonzales, thank you so much.